Okay. I had to save this. I had to suppress it till Harvey showed up. Then I was able to express it today. Okay. Harvey, just wanted to indicate that I notice you here. Okay. Okay. Page 176. Okay. We had said there are certain things in existence that they're obvious, you can't ignore. The rising and setting of the sun. You see the Chochmas Habore. You see God's wisdom in creation. Day is time of productivity, night, you can't, for many reasons. Then you have dying, death. What is the value of death? Now, the Gemara says there are two types of people. One time this quotes Psukim. It says there are those who say, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow I shall die. So take it all in. And other people, because there's death, therefore they're always doing a self-analysis, a self-introspection to make sure that when they die, the record is a good record. So you have two types of people. So some see death to be invaluable in terms of always being on that even keel and making sure that you walk in that straight path. Others, they say, we've got to take it all in before it's too late. So therefore, you have to have a little bit, you have to be more educated, you have to have a greater degree of insight to be able to appreciate that. It's not obvious. There's certain things, indicators of wisdom of Hashem in existence, that if you look at it in one way, you see it clearly. If on the other side, it's totally concealed. Good. No. It was to be able to draw the wisdom of Hashem, to see God's wisdom in existence. You know, it's not saying it's unbelievable. What's unbelievable? We're not saying it's not unbelievable, but do you attribute it to God, and therefore God is going to resonate in your life because of that? That's what we're talking about. A person who has a limited degree of intelligence or insight or perception, he doesn't pick up on it. Only after you reflect on it and you go and you analyze it. Seasons. The whole idea of seasons. You know, things blossom, they grow, they develop, and then the thing withers. The world withers and goes back to a point that you can't believe life is coming back. But basically, seasons is really an indication of resurrection. Right? It goes almost to non-existent in terms of life, and all of a sudden it begins budding and blossoming, and all of a sudden you have, and then again, the cycle repeats itself. And that's the life cycle. Before the flood, there were no seasons. He says the Chacham who understands. I mean, if you're Chacham, you understand. See, not necessarily. You can be a Chacham and you don't understand. You have tremendous knowledge and understanding in other things, but you don't get it. You don't understand. But the Chacham who understands Yivra Lo Min HaOlam, he'll be able to distill from the world Das Ruchnios V'Dakuso, the knowledge of its spirituality and its subtle things. The Simon Kisulam Lavos Haroyos Elabore Akol Yisborach. And that will be the equivalent of a ladder to be able to bring proofs, one after another, for God's existence. The Yidbak Bavodoso Kvi Godlo Musbelibo. And he'll attach himself to regarding his service based on his Kvi Godlo Musa Belibo. To the way, to the degree that you visualize and you eternalize God, that's the degree you're going to serve Him. If you have a greater grasp, you serve Him to a greater degree. Less, you don't. There was a story many years ago. I heard this from my father, Sholem. There was a shul in the Bronx. Bronx used to be. This is in the early 40s, and they called it the Tin Shul up in the Bronx. It was the Tin, T-I-N. It was called the Blechener Shul in Yiddish, Blech. The person's name is Blech. Of course, probably his family, they were tinsmiths in Europe. But that's a Blech. You call a Blech, you put on the fire, on the gas range, because it's made of tin. At one time it was made of tin. So roofers were usually they were tinsmiths, the roofers. They didn't have shingles, they put tin on the roof. So just to give you an indication what kind of Jews they used to be. So every Erev Pesach, this shul, they made a Siyum HaShas. The people in the shul, each one would take a Masechta. Erev Pesach, Siyum B'chorim, they would finish Shas. So there was Reb Chaim Greinman, his father was the Menayel in Tver Yerushalayim. This is why the Chazon Ish raised Reb Chaim Greinman, because his parents lived in the United States a number of years. Because the Chazon Ish felt it was important for his father, who was a very capable person, great Talmud Chacham, should be in the United States. In terms of what America was in those days. In terms of, for his influence, that he should influence people, and he was a tremendous administrator. And he was the administrator of Tver Yerushalayim. He was the Menayel. He ran the yeshiva. Rav Moshe was the Rosh Yeshiva. Just came from Russia in 41. Rav Moshe came in 39, 41. And he was a phenomenal speaker. His name was Reb Shmuel Greineman. His wife was the sister of the Chazon Ish, his wife. Phenomenal speaker. And whenever they had the Siyum, he was always the one who would make the Siyum, and he would speak. And, they were enthralled with his delivery and everything. For 1 year, he had to go back there to Israel, so Rav Moshe filled in. Rav Moshe was head and shoulders above almost everybody, but as a speaker, and as this special person with charisma and everything, he wasn't the same. So he came to the Bronx, he made the Siyum. So afterwards, when Shmuel Greineman came back, Rav Moshe was barely 5 feet tall, maybe not even 5 feet. So they said to him, to Rav Shmuel Greineman, in Yiddish, he says, next year, schick nicht the kleiner. Don't send the small guy. Don't send the small guy, you understand? So, how do you serve God? Lahavdi. It's based on how you recognize his exaltedness and his greatness. That's the way you serve him. Small little man who has a size 10 kapota, okay, frock, okay. Wears a big hat that comes down to his ears, okay. His beard is graying, okay. That's a Rav Moshe Feinstein. So if you understood who he was, you'd prostrate yourself before him. But what do these people understand? Even though they finish us, therefore what? Okay. So the level you serve God is based on your recognition, what you distill from existence, to what degree are you awed by him. To the degree that you're awed, that's the degree that you're going to serve him. Lahavdil Elef Abdolas, unfortunately. Man walks into a shul. Do you realize? Number 2 in Forbes. The place is going crazy. Number 2 and 4. What does he have to do with you? You know what it means? He should walk into our synagogue. You got to break out the Johnny Walker blue label, not the gold. What are you getting all excited about? What's the man? Is he underwriting the shul? What are you getting excited about? This is amazing. Because what do people recognize? It has nothing to do with them, but that's what they appreciate. That's what they revere. That's what they're awestruck with. Do you realize if he lived 10,000 years, he couldn't even use up all his money? What does that do with you? So what does he give it away and help other people? That you don't see his shortcomings and how heartless he may be. Right? Okay? But you're impressed. What are you impressed with? But Kedusha, a man who is an angel, he's not even 5 feet tall. He couldn't even enlist for the fire department in New York because you have to be of minimal height, What are you talking about? Ochenveg. And to the degree of his goodness and his graciousness to existence, and to what degree are you a beneficiary of his grace, and the way God carries you, even though you're fully undeserving, God carries you. He's He's not deserving of any goodness from God, and despite that, God just showers goodness upon you. Health, intelligence, never had a worry in your life until you're 20 years old. You should be singing God's praises. You don't even sing your parents' praises. You're going to sing God's praises. Akach yivro lo migishmi ha'olam. Ma sheyesh lo hanos gufa v'tikun inyonu ba'olam. The Gishmi over here doesn't mean the rains. It means the material of the world. He should discern the physicality of the world. Ma sheyesh lo hanos gufa, what you benefit from. Right? Could you imagine the only fiber that exists is something like burlap, which lacerates your skin. And you have cotton, which is soft. It absorbs, or wool, right? What would be if there would only be things that you'd be continuously in an irritable state because of your situation, and whatever you're exposed to, you would have an allergic reaction to, right? The person doesn't appreciate that. So to appreciate the physicality of existence, you read about the value of skin. I'm only mentioning this because Richie just walked in, even though he's a urologist. We're not talking about a dermatologist. Okay. So skin. What is the value of skin? The skin. If a person wouldn't have skin, you know what you'd be susceptible? The disease and everything else. It protects everything. The body is insulated with that. It's a gift of God. If that is actually compromised, you can't survive it. Okay? When I say, evidently I'm saying what I'm saying is correct. Otherwise I'd have a response. Exactly. I wanted to leave something for you to say. Okay, exactly. To be continued. We got to put in the word for the digest. I'm sorry today already. These people weren't interested in. You can only have a relationship with the person who's interested in having a relationship. These people are so arrogant. They have, you know, they have. They didn't. There's a famous story. There's a famous story. Famous story with a mafia, Italian mafia, to a real mafia, or Baron Cutler, where he gave a bracha to one of the head mafia guys. And he died. Whatever it is, they needed something. The yeshiva needed something. They were in problems, so Rav Aaron had to go to the head mafia guy. And he saw it, and he appreciated it. He saw he was a holy man. And he gave him a bracha that he should live a long life. And he died, lived a very long life. He died in bed, didn't have any suffering at the end. And many years later, when his Reb Schneer was the Rishiv in Lakewood, all of a sudden a black car pulls up. And these guys, come out, with the slick down here, with the big cigars. And they're looking for Rabbi Cutler, right? And they said he's not alive. His son runs. So they come in. They tell that nobody knew the story, that how Reb Aaron had given a bracha to their father. There's the successor, right? And also he asked for a blessing. He wants a blessing from the rabbi. He says, "Look, I'm not my father. I can't give you a blessing. I'm not capable of giving you a blessing." So he said, "There's the mafia guy saw that, appreciated where Baron Cutler was." Whatever it is. There's something in Europe.